Hi, guys, and welcome to today's podcast where I'm joined by the infamous Mr. Clint Butler. Clint, thank you very much for taking the time to come on. I've actually been meaning to ask you to come on for ages. A lot of people are always like, yeah, Clint's up to cool stuff. And I know you are anyway because, I watch what you do and see your stuff online anyway. So, I've ramped up my efforts and started to get some of the top dogs on from the SEO world. So thank you very much for coming on. So for anyone who doesn't know you, Clint, can you just give us a brief kind of condensed background of how long you've been in this industry for?
Yeah, my name's Clint Butler, obviously. Duh. I was in the Army for 22 years. I did 2 years of contracting after that in Afghanistan, and then tired of working for the man, as it were. Really, I just didn't. I was, 22 years in the Army. You don't do that to get rich. You do that out of the need to serve, right? But you can't really live a really good life in that way. So I decided to start my own business. And after I got done with the contracting, I didn't do any work or anything. And I started digitalear.com as my agency. Grew that up. I was having a decent time with it, but I had one fallback on me. I just don't do well with dumb. And a lot of the clients that I was attracting at the time are, this is my last marketing dollar and this has to work kind of thing. You know what I mean? And I was stupid then. I didn't know any better. And I took those kind of clients on and it burned me out really quick. So 5-6 years ago, Guy Sharetta Over the Top SEO, he reached out to me and I actually took over as his head of SEO, director of SEO, whatever you want to call it. Kind of changed the titles all the time, but I've been working on and ranking Over the Top SEO from then until probably last month or this month. And COVID happened, life happened, as it were, and things aren't as good over Top SEO as they probably should be. So in advance of that, I kind of started doing my own courses, restarting Digital Ear. At the same time, I teamed up with Dory Friend from SIA, and I'm sure you know her from other circles of PBNs, SEO Nitro, and all that stuff. And I teamed up with her when Kyle Roof left SIA, and that's been going good too. So I'm spread out everywhere, but condensed to where I want to be. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, Dory's an interesting character. Bumped into the NFG Rockstars last year, and yeah, she's one of the good ones, one of the crazy ones as well. But yeah. I'm sure you and I both fit into that bracket as well, which is why we've got the kind of mutual respect going on for the stuff that each other does. But I think obviously your background, things happen. You're now doing courses and stuff like that. I want to touch on the course anyway, and I know it's not a pitch fest, and you're not into being that crazy sales guy, but the course is on Schema, and I think for me that's an interesting topic because as an SEO, I'm one of those guys where I don't jump into everything that people say is going to be good. Like people say voice search or AMP or, years ago, you have to do this, you have to do that. And Schema's always been the same. I've heard people, going on about it for the last few years, but I've never really taken it that seriously because I'm just like, do you know what? This is a whole pain in the ass, doing this stuff manually. So I want to touch on what's in your course, and is it still all manual, or have you guys developed a way? Because what I'm using at the moment is a plugin called WordLift, and that seems to be working reasonably well for me. But I'd be curious to know what you're teaching. Is there benefits to using plugins, or should we be doing it manually?
So I tested all of the Yoast, the SEO Press Pro, Rank Math plugins, and then I looked at what they're using versus what Google Dev was showing us, and it's pretty much the same thing. So back in the day when nobody was doing it, that schema actually helped you rank. It did a good job. And then they integrated those plugins, and now the millions and millions have it, and they're all doing the exact same level of schema, which is pretty much just moved the line. So if you weren't doing schema and you already get a benefit, now if you are doing schema, well, everyone else is doing it. What makes you special? Still, you got to, do the other stuff. So that's where the issue is today. And then to your point about manually writing it, it is hard. It's a pain. Let's be honest, it's a pain to do it. But I think that the value there is actually worth it now, because it's harder to automate. And trust me, I spent $20,000 already trying to get developers to automate the schema the way that I write it, and it's like ultimately I had to partner up with the mobile apps guy to try to even accomplish it. So in the course, what I do is first I'll show you the test results. These aren't things that I made up and just said, oh, I tested it and it don't work. I'll show you the test results, showing you all the plugins that don't work. I'll show you the schemas that do work. And then I'll show you how to look at schema.org, that website, and turn that into unique schema for you and your business in a way that'll actually help you out.
Yeah.
It's not, at the end of the day, I charge $297 and get ready to charge $497 for it. But at the end of the day, it's not rocket science. Anybody can go in there and figure this stuff out. I just did the research for you and showed you how to build it up. And I'm adding more to it. I added 2 videos this weekend. I got some more I want to do. I want to go over some niches, like some people who bought the course are looking at, they want a lawyer, for example. So I'm going to go in there and find a lawyer site and just write out schema for them and just go through that whole process. So,
yeah.
And I've used WordLift, like you said. That was really good. I think the value in WordLift to me is the association of the entities, and how they do the vocabulary. I'm not sure if they're still doing it. When I had it, they're doing the vocabulary set of your website.
Yeah.
And then tying that in. That's really cool. InLinks is another good one. But there's a free version too. It's topicalrelevance.com. And Joe Priest made that, and it gives you the almost same data that InLinks does it without the interlinking part. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I'm always curious. One of the things I think where people like you add value is you're doing the research and the testing for people, and I kind of like that. Being a lazy git. No, but I don't mind paying for someone's time, and I think there's massive value in that. You let you do the hours and hours and hours worth of research, and jump in, grab what you've taken from it, and go and implement it. So for anyone out there, I think it's a smart move for that price if you're looking to get on board with Schema. I've tried different apps. I'm currently on WordLift. I'm probably doing all the stuff you've tried. I've been on, was it schemaapp.com, Martha Van Berkel's stuff. I've been on everything. And one thing I'm not going to do is manually write schema. I just can't do it. It's mind-boggling stuff for me, and just don't have enough hours in the day. But I'll keep plugging away. The hope that someone comes up with something.
It's not that hard once you know how to start off with a template. So really, I show you, that's one of the first lessons in there is I teach you how to go to someone else's website and rip off their schema so that you have a starting point. And once you get the starting point and you can figure out the stupid commas and curly brackets, you're golden.
Yeah.
You can go all day long with it. And honestly, I have a Schema app subscription to you just because those guys just do a great job. But if you can take the time to learn that system, handwriting schema is the easy. You know what I mean? It's only one step off from handwriting schema. So she's got a really good system over there. I like that too.
Yeah. I've played around, but again, I've got my fingers and my head in too many other baskets like you do. I know you like to play around with a lot of different things and do a lot of testing, and I always see you on there and the likes of SEO AutoPilot, giving the guys, this is not working, add this, do that. and I think how are you finding SEO Autopilot? I just want to jump onto that because we all love tools and automation, and I'm assuming you're the same because you're in about all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So full disclosure, I got SEO Autopilot. I pay for that, but Elias gives me like Omega credits, and he'll do like extra things for me just because I do the testing. I've done testing for SEO Autopilot. So, and I really like that software. You kind of akin to the SE Nukes, the Money Robots was the pre SEO Autopilot, and it's kind of the same Ranker X, the same concept and idea. So what I did for them is I took each one of their nodes, like Web 2.0, social bookmarking, high quality, and tested all of those to see which ones are actually give me the boost. And then I made my own diagrams. So, and the reason for that is if you and I are doing the same thing over and over again, it's that what I'm talking about before is you're at level with your competition, right? So, with that tool, with any tool, then I would say that you need to come up with your own plan. GSA, XRIM, or no matter what you're using, you got to come up with your own plan for that. So, and with SEO Autopilot, it's just like stupid easy. You put it on a good server, and let's say you're just doing a pillowing process, and you want some Web 2 profiles and maybe some high quality social bookmarks for a brand new page that you did. And you just drop it in there, and my server will have it all be done in an hour. It's done. You know what I mean? So it's good. I like it. I think it just makes it fast, and I can hide like the good PBN links if I was going to go and drop Bitcoin and put it on a get links order or something like that, and I want to protect that page and that website and my backlinks, and SEO Autopilot is good to do that, and it kickstarts off. So
yeah, no, it's a great tool, and I enjoy playing about with it myself. And you always do. I always do these lives, and people are like, would you recommend it over Ranker X and GSA and all of that kind of stuff? And obviously things evolve, and it's got a bit more flexibility than some of the older tools. But it's good to hear that you saying the same as what I always tell people. It's what you do with it and how you use it. It is the key part, and I think Elias is a great guy. He also helps me as well. Yeah. If I need anything, he can sort me out, and I think building that relationship with Elias is a great thing to be doing. And
all software developers, right? I think you've probably met as many as I have, where you go ask the software developer, what is the purpose behind this? Mm-hmm. And most of them look at you deer in the headlights because they just got into be software developers. They didn't do it to be SEOs. Whereas Elias is an SEO. He purpose built the software for his things. You hear his perspective, and then you can turn it into yours, which is cool.
So you're obviously big into link building and stuff like that as well. And you mentioned PBNs and stuff like that there. Is that something you still play around with in a great way?
Yeah, PBNs are dope, but they're really expensive if you want to keep your own network. So I buy the PBNs that I'm using right now are all from Dory. So she had that SEO Nitro network. She just relaunched it. I think there's like 700 some sites in there. In the main one, and then another 500. I probably get the numbers mixed up in the inner alternate, but PBNs are dope. Everyone, if you hear anyone say, "Oh, Google can find PBNs," and that's complete BS. Because a good PBN is it's a website, right? It's a normal, good-looking website that's probably making some money on its own, and there's no way you're going to algorithmically detect the PBN. So, I think it's a good link building tool, but it's not always something that you want to just rely on solely.
Yeah.
So, yeah. If PBNs are your only thing, then you're in trouble. You know what I mean? I'm sure. I think Gary Wilson's even said the same thing, and he sells PBN and niche edits and stuff too.
Yeah. It's absolute madness with anything. Even digital marketing in general, it would be dangerous just to rely on SEO. That's why we do podcasts, YouTube, trying to drive traffic in from multiple sources. same goes for link building, in my opinion. But what other types of automation have you come across? Mentorprise yet?
Yep, I love Mentorprise. I've actually had that. Hell, Paul reached out to me early on. I think I was like customer number 5. And that tool is actually like really good. Like anything I need for SEO AutoPilot, I don't even mess around with all the other tools. I just go to Mentorprise, feed it a few things, and push the button, and then copy paste right over for it. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what that tool is designed for. It's kind of laughable to me when I see someone who says, "Oh, I got this out of Mentorprise and I still had to work on it." Well, no shit. If you listen to the briefing that you got, it's going out and scraping the websites from the top 10 or however many you give it, and compiling that information, throwing it all together, mixing it all up, and then spinning it. And then there's your article. I think it's a great tool to, if you don't know anything about a niche, you just drop some questions in there and you'll get articles that you can start off with.
Yeah.
Or if you're just link building, just do what I do and be completely lazy and just mash some buttons and copy paste everything over and you're good.
Yeah, no, it's a great tool. I'm just recently onto it. Still, I'm just off a call with Paul on Friday. He was giving me the second part of the training for the publishing side of it. Yeah. So, looking forward to playing around with it.
Yeah, I want to get that it's member publisher, mentor publish or something like that. Is kind of weird name that you give it, but my issue is let's say I get 5 domains and I build 5 subdomains on it. If my domains had power, my subdomains don't really have any linking authority anymore, right? They're zero. That's zero value. Yeah. And then I make these pages and that's zero value. 0 + 0 = 0. And I can rank with long tail terms with that, probably with no problem. I've talked to a couple of people that are using it. They're ranking pages, long tail, no problem. But nobody can say that they've actually got a ranking boost out of it. So what I want to figure out before I get it is, how do I automate tier 1s to those pages that it makes?
Yeah.
So the subdomains actually have some juice. And once I figure that out, that tool is going to be gangbusters. It'll be just like any other mass page builder. You can kill it with that. Or for Launchjacking, short-term shit. And some keyword hunting too, if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, 100%. As I say, I'm excited about it. Again, it's what you can, what shape you can bend it into for yourself. But another thing that you mentioned there that I love hearing about is Launchjacking. So, do you still do a lot of that? And do people ever come after you for it? Like, yeah, dirty bee, what are you doing this for, or whatever? When like the owner, do you actually agree with someone, I'm going to go after this, or do you just go after it anyway?
I go after it anyway. It's kind of the affiliate land. It's what we do, right? So, and it's really where the black hat comes in. So, people talk about don't do black hat tactics because they're short term. Well, they're short term, but they work really well. And that's where the Launchjacking stuff comes in. And if you think you're the only one doing it, you're completely wrong. Like, the entire market is full. You can go to any launch and just watch people come in and take over. So I like doing it. It's a nice, easy way to make some money. If you have a nice system in place and you can repetitively rank all the time, then you're golden. The downside of Launchjacking and affiliate, in my opinion, is once you stop promoting it and once you stop nurturing it, you stop making money.
Yeah.
Which is why an agency or a business model is a little bit better for you, but it still works if that's what interests you. There's people that make 6 figures a month doing nothing but affiliate stuff. So
yeah, no, I've watched Jeff Lenny for a number of years do really good stuff with it, and I always just sit and laugh my head off. And it's not really something I've done a huge amount of, to be honest. But I would always just be like, do you not end up fighting with people, and people saying you dirty snake, and or do they not bother? You know, do people not even bother? Because they're winning anyway, so why surely wouldn't matter anyway.
Yeah, no, they don't bother. It's really I want to say it's almost the ultimate testing ground for your skills, and then you can learn from each other. And I think that community, which is separate from the SEO community, if you find a like true affiliate community, they actually learn and help each other, and they're not that much dicks, right? There's competition because you get all the the, especially in the IM space, or you get those launch leaderboards and stuff like that, and they have fun, and that's how they grow and they learn from each other and stuff. And um, to me, I think it's a good platform for anybody to be into, because it's, at the end of the day, you can have your testing sites, i.e. what works and what doesn't, and you're not trying to do that on some client site. And then two, it's a residual piece of income. So everybody should have at least one affiliate site, just to mash some buttons on. You don't care if it gets fried, and just go to town on it.
So you mentioned testing websites there, and as a man who constantly tests everything from SEO AutoPilot to, I'm sure, various different people's PBNs and everything else, is your testing websites actually live affiliate websites? Do you test like on real, I know they're probably not earning a huge amount of money, but are those actually real websites that you're testing on?
Yeah, at the end they are. So there's single variable testing. You guys know Kyle Roof, and he does single variable testing, and he got a lot of crap for that because he used fake keywords. And the number one argument I hear is, oh, he's using fake keywords. It's not the real algorithm, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever because it's still in Google. But it's single variable. At the end of the day, it's single variable. You're testing this one thing against nothing to see if that one thing ranks, right?
Yeah.
And then you carry that over into Ted's testing method, which is testing that one thing against nothing on 10 sites to see if it works. And then his next level is test that one thing against a bunch of other things to see how powerful it is.
Yeah.
And finally, at the end of the day, you have to test again on a money website to see if it's actually going to do anything, really.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like before, I used to just go single variable, test it on my money site, see what happens. And I use my agency site, and I have my own brand website, which, clintbutler.net, and I've erased and built and re-erased that site like 100 times now. And that's pretty much how my process is. So it's, and then a lot of people like to go and they'll either bag on testing or everyone's a tester. So you kind of get those two. There's no real middleman person, but at the end of the day, testing is really just finding nicks in the algorithm that you can use to just to get a nice boost. So and ideas of successful algorithm tweaks that are useful can be different. In my case, if I'm ranking, I have a page at number 5 and it only boosts up to number 3, probably not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a test that takes me from number 3 to number 1, for example, worth it because it's harder to do it, right? So it just, you have to pick your own measurement, you have to pick your own keywords, and you have to look at the correlations in your particular keyword with your websites and apply that stuff. It's not for the faint of heart, especially nowadays with indexing and all that crap. It just makes everything a lot harder. So, and I'm sure you've run into it too, where you're just trying to live your life, man, and Google won't even put your crap stuff in the index. So
yeah. Exactly. I'm curious to know, obviously, guys like yourself, when I say to, just asking you a question, have you heard of Menterprise? You're like, yeah, I was the 5th customer on. Have you heard of SEO AutoPilot? You were probably one of the first guys on that. You always seem to be in there at the start of any new tool or any new automation. Where do you get that from? Like, where do you hang around, or where do people just approach you and say, listen, Clint, I know you're a crazy ass tester, you're well known in the industry, can we try a tool out? Do you get approached by people, or where do you go to find these things?
Yeah, more often than now, since joining Dory, that's the case. Like, people know that I'm testing things, and then they'll approach me for it. And I like doing beta stuff, so because I like breaking things. When Quora started, I was the first one to break it for Ted all the time. So, but before that, it came from shiny object syndrome. I'll be honest, you know what I mean? All these cool landing pages, and Todd Gross can sell some crap, yo. So I'd buy pretty much anything, and ultimately, I just kind of turned into a passion where I like software. It's not so much about automation. It's just, you're a single guy or gal. You're working from home. You got 10 clients. You have to service those 10 clients because you took their money, and you have to get them results. And now you need to find the tools that make that possible, and then look in advance in the future in case that tool's gone. You got to be ready for another one. And that's kind of how I think about it. Like, someone made a competitive tool, the SEO AutoPilot, right now, I'd be the first to sign up.
You know. I think I'm similar to you. I had the shiny object syndrome. I was, compulsively buying crap from AppSumo and, all of the other stuff. You go on forums and people are like, hey, man, you seen this link building tool? Buy it. And more often than not, find that they were a big pile of shit and they didn't actually do what they were proposed to do. And that was where the question was leading on to. Because obviously, guys like me, I've spent probably hundreds of thousands over the years on wasted crap, and you always seem to come up when all the good stuff comes out. Or like Clint Butler's, on there, and you're like, fuck, he's always on the money. So I was just curious to know whether you also pissed hundreds of thousands up against the wall, which you probably have.
Yeah, I bought a lot of stuff that was duds, but I've only bought one that was actually, like, literally made me mad. And I ranked for their brand name, and I did a review on it, and I didn't hold back on that one. And I ranked for their brand name and all their software terms, and I did it just using this weak ass SEO tool that I found that, these guys claimed was better. And at the end of the day, they were supposedly doing link building by making sitemaps for people and saying, oh, look, this is my link building. But they pawned it off as like it was some great and wonderful thing, and it was perfect. And they got pissed at me and negative SEO'd my site, and then asked me, can you take that down? I said, no, just use your tool to outrank me. And they never did. And they had to rebrand that whole product. So, but for the most part, I think that, based off of where you find your tool, how early you get in, and the popularity of it is how long that tool lasts. Yeah. My number one rule is, if Holly's Darks is doing it, I just move on, because it's going to be fried eventually.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think that's kind of how tools are. It's just the evolution of tools. You know what I mean? So if you don't get in on them early, you're not going to get the benefit of them, because by the time they get popular, everyone's going to toast them. Yeah. And sometimes it takes 6 months, sometimes it takes a few years. Like Google Drive stacks, were working great, and then Google flipped the switch. I don't know if anyone notices, but those aren't passing any link juice anymore, and they don't index anymore. So it's a method that's gone. It's just our life, right? So. Ooh, Craig is frozen. I could take over his show now.
Sorry, I cut out there. I think that was my internet connection. I was going to say, I hate it when someone gets, a really good tip, and they bloody share it with the world, and you're just like, fuck, stop it. But talking about negative SEO, you mentioned someone was negative SEOing you previously. Is that still something you feel works very well? You've always got these people out there saying, negative SEO cannot work. What's your stance on that?
Well, negative SEO in the white hat world can't work because John Mueller said so. so that they're smart enough to filter out links. And my counteract to that is, if Google is smart enough to filter out links, why do they still hand out manual link penalties? And that's because Google's not smart enough to filter out links. So you can neg SEO a website with backlinks still. It's a little bit harder, but you can still do it. And there's some other methods that are way more effective that people won't even know that's going on. One of those it's dead now. I was using it for reputation management very well, was the canonical. So your target site is bad, right? You don't like it, and saying some bad things about you, they're completely unfair. You download it, put it on like an old porn website or old gambling website or whatever, and then drop the canonical on that page right back to the original, and it sank it like a turd. Because it was, I think the really reason it was working is kind of triggering the safe search, right? So it would just drop it out of there.
Yeah.
And Google fixed that after Bill Hartzer decided he wanted to write about it, which, it's a little upsetting, but it's tactics. It's kind of what happens. So there's still ways to do it. CTR manipulation. If I wanted to, I could point, and this one's easy too, is just point traffic at your competitor, do it in excess of the traffic volume there, keep it going for a week, and then shut it off.
Yeah.
And Google is used to people manipulating it, because Rand Fishkin, he talked about it, and they swore up and down you couldn't do it, and everyone proved them that you could. And that was their fix. So you do fake traffic, it's unnatural, and then the bot's going to take you down, and then try to rank that page again. It's hard.
Yeah, that's interesting. And on CTR manipulation, I'm doing a lot of YouTube videos and doing a lot of CTR stuff to try and rank my YouTube videos.
Yeah, I see that in your 5,000 live viewers.
So I'm using micro workers, I'm using CTR booster, I'm using paid Facebook ads and everything else, just to drive traffic and engagement to the video, stuff like that. Is there anything I'm missing, with CTR manipulation? Is there anything that you feel is good and current that I could also be adding to the mix?
I think you're probably ahead of the curve with me on that, because I don't like SEO this week. I don't boost it up. I get what I get, and if you don't want to watch the show, you don't watch the show, right? Yeah. I'm not doing any ads or anything like that. I should be, and Ted has yelled at me tons of times where I should be doing that. But at the end of the day, for me, especially like a free show, it's great for branding, but I want you to come in and watch it because you want to watch it, not because I somehow manipulate the numbers, you know what I mean? So I've got plenty of videos where I get 20, 30,000 views, but most of those are fake, to be honest, and they didn't turn into money. So what's the point?
Yeah.
And then it's kind of easy to rank with some embeds, do a money robot run, and boom, you get it up there naturally. So, and I think, to me, honestly, you hit so many good topics. Your keyword diversity is there, and you have so many different guests and stuff that's on, and you're running, it seems like every time I turn on Facebook, you're running a new show. So there's plenty of opportunities where you just kind of rinse and repeat a ranking thing, and maybe you get some duds, but at least you reach out to people.
Yeah, no, it's working reasonably well. I was just curious to know if there was anything. I just want, basically, my goal is to get 100,000 YouTube subscribers to get that plaque. I don't know why, but you know what it's like. You just, in this game, give us a goal, and we've got to get it. And I've got to just under 45,000, which is all right, but it's a bloody hard slog. So
you've been doing it for years, right? Though, so
yeah. Well, I've only really went heavily on YouTube this year. Most of the videos that I'd done previously were all on SEMrush. It wasn't my own channel. So I've only really been hard at it this year. Well, since COVID happened, I've went hard at it on the kind of CTR and doing everything else I can to accelerate that. And there is, some benefits to it. But as you say, it's sometimes quite hard to monetize. And why should we be doing that? To give people free content. But as I say, sometimes you've just got a goal in your head and you want to go for it. But before we do wrap up, Clint, what does the future hold? So obviously, COVID's impacted your time at Over the Top SEO. You're selling courses and you're doing your thing just now, playing around. What does the future hold for Clint Butler? Have you got anything cool coming out in the future, or?
Yeah, I'm doing an on-page course right now. I'm actually kind of building that backwards, and I'm doing the over-the-shoulder stuff. I've talked about it on SEO this week, because if you look at digitalear.com right now, like 3/4 of it's in Lorem Ipsum and shortcode, and it's ranking. So I'm turning that back into a real website and building that on-page course in the process. And then I think ultimately, for me, I might go dark. Like, I'm so tired of social media right now. It's like I can't stand it anymore. It's like I've deleted all the apps off my phone, and the next step is just to go dark and and put my head in the ground and actually build Digital Ear up and build SIA up and turn those into something that people can come to, know that they're going to give us money and they'll get something positive in return.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my focus. I think the personal branding, I'm okay with that right now. At least in the SEO community. I think I could probably use a little bit more work on that. So there's just some things that you're doing it too, in the personal branding and building that up to be able to. I don't know if I'm actually doing it to sell things. It's just kind of, this is me and this is my persona. And if you want to work with a guy like me, you're going to reach out to me, kind of policy, right? And so I'll probably keep working on that a little bit. We'll see. Like I said, it's just social media is so like mentally tiring right now. It's just irritating. So
Yeah, no, I get that. And yeah, I do feel like that myself sometimes, just like, fuck this shit. What's the point? Where are all these trolls coming from? But I think a lot of that's to come down to COVID, and maybe people are just a little more anxious or whatever and feel like they can give you some more shit. But okay, it's all fun and games, But I'm sure you'll do well. But for anyone who does want to reach out to you, talk to you, whatever, where's the best place for people to find you?
That's a hard question because I'm pretty much everywhere. So if you just want to, say hi or whatever, probably Facebook. If you want to check out one of the courses, whatranks.com. I've got 2 out there right now. It's the Schema course and the Cora course. Or if you want to do the testing, come to SIA. That's a little bit. I was like $497 and then $197 a month or something like that. I forget where we have the prices at right now. So you get the testing results and you get all my courses as I build them. So you'll see them probably like 2 or 3 months before they actually go live on What Ranks inside of SIA.
Yes, guys.
You get full access to me there. So.
Yeah, guys. So make sure you do get out there and check Clint's stuff out. It's he's one of the guys that, even within the SEO community through, I know lots of experienced guys and are always like, yeah, Clint's doing this, Clint's tested that. So even as an experienced SEO, you should be checking that stuff out because he's doing all the legwork for us, which we have to thank him for. And we've also got to thank him for getting up at 5 a.m. To do this particular podcast. So Clint, thank you very much. The links will be below where you can get a hold of Clint, and do reach out to him on Facebook or whatever if you want to say hi to him before he disappears into the background and doesn't want to talk to anyone. So take advantage now, guys. But it's been a pleasure, Clint. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.